You know what I really appreciate from this chapter of My Hero Academia? I appreciate the realistic nature of what Hawk said within his mind towards his own parents. Because you remember how in last week I talked about the entire situation surrounding Endeavor and the family, Dabi/Toya, Shoto. It's realistic. It's something I think that really shows and paints what families kind of are like in real life. Families aren't the perfect picture that everybody likes to think they are. They're very dysfunctional. There's a lot of problems, and there's a lot of regrets, a lot of animosity, a lot of hatred, and a lot of times you might not even want to interact with your family. It is something I think many could relate with, and that's why I said that many might not like the last chapter of My Hero Academia because of that, of how it really just rips off the escapism. It rips off the ability to really say, oh, this is just a fantasy world or just set in a manga. It makes you realize that it is correlating with some of the things that happen in real life. And I think that looking at this chapter kind of expands upon my feelings of that topic, because just like how I said that most families don't reach a happy ending and conclusion and being able to come together to admit their wrongs and seeing, them all to come together for Endeavor and help him lift the burden off his shoulders was sweet and, amazing, that doesn't always happen. And when you see what Hawk says to himself, it actually paints that picture of what happens a lot to many families, where Hawks admits to himself that he didn't have the courage, he didn't have the strength, he didn't have the power to be able to face his parents, to face his father, to face his mother, to be able to talk with them once again and do what Shoto has done, to do what all the others a part of Endeavor's family has done at this point. Hawks admits to himself he isn't that strong, he isn't that powerful, which is ironic, honestly. Someone that is praised as the number 2 hero admits that he couldn't even forgive his father or mother, even faced him to a certain degree. He couldn't have that level of strength that, Shoto has. It shows how flawed Hawks is, and I appreciate that detail. We've already known he's been flawed for a very long time, but just seeing that little detail really humanizes Hawks to a whole new level. It shows that he isn't perfect. He may be a great hero, but he also just has as many problems as anyone else within the story. And in being able to actually realize that, but also look at Endeavor's situation and be like, you know what? I appreciate how you're trying to change for the better, and there's no reason for me to step in your way and try to stop that, because if you truly are in deep within yourself, in your heart, wanting to change and be better for everyone, then I should be able to support you and help you along that way. And I like Hawks' mentality of that. And we've had many pictures painted of how people view Endeavor. People hate him, people love him, people resent him, people are on the fence about him, and people want to encourage him. There's so many ways to really look at Endeavor, and I appreciate this conclusion, or this conclusive chapter on Endeavor, really showcasing that even though his family is accepting Endeavor, not everybody's going to accept him, but there is also some people that are outside of Endeavor's family that will still accept him for who he is because of their own individual circumstances. For instance, Hawks looks at Endeavor and Endeavor's family as basically like, I went through something similar, my outcome was different, I don't want to see you guys have the same outcome, I want to help you along the way. Best Genius is there because he's like, I'm just a good man, but also I've been so embedded in this whole ordeal with Dabi/Toya, I can't really back out now, so it's like, I'm indifferent, I don't hate you, Endeavor, and all that, we're willing to, help you out and just try to get things corrected and do right by the world. So I just think that this is such a good chapter for that, but there's so much more that goes on, but it's just, I love My Hero Academia. These chapters are so good because it's kind of like what's been built up for 100+ chapters now. Like, for a very long time now, we've been having this build up, this Endeavor confrontation with, individuals around him, even Hawks around him. And seeing that conclusion to this is just such a satisfying thing to do. It's very satisfying. It's like, not many plot points and many character interactions within stories get really a satisfying conclusion. I've seen so many stories set up something between two characters, and the payoff is just, it's not worth it. It ruins it. And I feel like the payoff between Hawks and Endeavor was definitely something that was worthy. especially getting the Hawk's backstory before this Endeavor stuff with his family. I think it really concreted just how different the circumstances are, but also how two different outcomes can be as well when it comes to dysfunctional families. So yeah, I think Horikoshi did a good job with handling this. See, I'm not really against anything that has happened within these chapters, and I think this just really goes to show you the master level quality of writing that Horikoshi has actually kind of done since the very beginning of the story. But let's obviously dive a lot deeper. So one of the big things that pops up within this chapter is that Hawks mentions to Endeavor, what is One for All? And this is definitely something that's been up in the air for a while now, because we knew soon as Izuku mentioned that, Shigaraku was going to be after him, that this was going to be something that was going to be talked about after this arc. That, Izuku is probably not going to be able to hide the fact that he has One for All from the public anymore, or at the very least from the top level heroes like Endeavor, Hawks, etc., because it's gone past that point now. There's just too much that's happened now to where it cannot be hid any longer. And so seeing Hawks knowing about One for All, and then also Endeavor kind of pitching in saying it has something to do with Deku, Izuku, it lets us know that there's just no way Izuku's going to be able to back out of it now. There's no proper explanation anymore that he can give or excuse without really just straight up telling the truth. And on top of that, All Might being in Izuku's room while he's unconscious just adds more to the mystery of the connection of One for All, and All for One. Because everybody knows All for One is the big bad villain, the one that All Might fought. Someone that was a crazy strong villain that caused All Might to retire. So when you think about it, it's like All Might being in the room with the very person he defeated, and then they're now mentioning and talking about something about One for All. What's really going on there? And we know how intelligent Hawks is. He isn't dumb. We know he's not dumb. He's, intellectual. He's able to realize and analyze things and kind of come to a really good conclusion on certain elements that he thinks about. So when he starts thinking about One for All and he looks at All Might, he looks at Izuku, he's probably going to be able to piece it together to a certain degree. Maybe not get the full story, but he's going to be able to understand it. Which this leads into the next conclusion. Endeavor accepting One for All, that is just the accumulation of so much power, stockpiling of power for such a very long period of time. It does make you wonder how Endeavor is going to feel about that, because it's something that could drive anyone mad. Some people might be wanting to obtain that power, and it's one of the reasons why obviously One for All has been hidden, why All Might hasn't talked about it. I mean, yes, All Might says the individual user has to be willing to give up the power to another, and it's very clear that even trying to manipulate someone to give up the said power, at least from what we saw from All for One, isn't entirely impossible, but also possible. It's like you have to be someone special like All for One to really rip the power from, the user of One for All. So when you think about it, it's kind of resistant to manipulation to a certain degree, but not fully. And because of this, it's like, it makes sense why, that power's been hidden. People that seek power might want it. And individuals like Endeavor in the past, before he's went through this radical shift, he might have wanted that power, but obviously he's a different person now. He's no longer that same guy we once knew from the beginning of the story, and we know so much more about it. But it doesn't stop other heroes from wanting this power, being envious that, All Might chose this kid as his successor and all that, and it can lead to a lot of animosity, a lot of hatred with others, and Izuku getting a lot of flack for it, and saying, oh, you're a failure of a successor, etc. It can just lead to so many different issues. So I do think that now that we see that Endeavor's probably going to be finding out about One for All, I'm curious on his perspective of it. How he's going to view All Might, how he's going to view himself, and how he's going to view Izuku. Is it going to be harder to Izuku, or is he going to actually respect Izuku a lot more? So many questions I have about that. That leads to the next segment I want to talk about, and that is Izuku is currently unconscious. Now we know Izuku is badly wounded. His arm's messed up. His leg's messed up. The man is not in any state to ever be what he once was. But he's currently talking with the users, the vestiges inside himself, One for All. And he's even talking to potentially even All Might, a vestige inside of himself, the quirk. And it makes you wonder what is about to happen. Is the quirk about to basically say, we bestow all the power to you? Are they going to heal Izuku? Is like some form of healing factor slash quirk going to be introduced into Izuku's arsenal? there's questions about that. And many have talked about this for a while, is that it's kind of ridiculous. Like, for instance, there's just no way Izuku could potentially fight Shigaraki. I mean, we saw it ourselves. Izuku was like a baby before Shigaraki. Shigaraki was fighting so many pro heroes at once, and even then, it wasn't enough to fully bring him down. If the man would have been at max power and not been weakened, he would have decimated everyone there. So it just goes to show you that Izuku wasn't ready, not prepared, and even then, with the might of the quirks and One for All he had so far, wasn't enough. So it makes you wonder, is there a healing quirk a part of the vestiges that he's about to get, or is it something else? But we'll see. I feel like we're going to get a lot more world building, and, we're probably going to have Izuku having to step into the spotlight and reveal to his classmates, reveal to a lot of pro heroes about what's actually been going on behind the scenes. The story is about to probably pick up dramatically, like the pace of the story and everything. So, can't wait to see where Horikoshi actually takes it, because it's been a lot of build-up for a very long time to see kind of how Izuku's secret will finally slip out and how people would actually, feel about him. But I think I'm going to kind of leave it at that, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.